Through the 1960s, geothermal planning was being constructed
Most
worldwide.
of our feature engineering is in the form of mapping, where we apply several different techniques, ranging from Kriging, Gaussian to neural network.
Our second use case is direct heat
A simple
use.
economic analysis shows that formation temperatures exceeding 200 Celsius
Our model predicts a true temperature based on the thermal conductivity.
As you can see, in the data file are a lot of missing values are incomplete columns, which is a problem for us to run a machine
gave
learning
us a
model.
better understanding of the wells that can be potentially selected for the conversion.
Production data, mud weight, bottom hole temperatures, and LAS files containing now able to break down and categorize the wells into high, low geothermal power and then direct renewable energy source. Besides reducing the environmental impacts, there are also socio-economic benefits.
Here we run the data imputation by k-nearest neighbor to fill out the any case.
We are selecting the wells that have a temperature of 120 Celsius can significantly reduce the amount of CO2 emission. In this case, we perform some calculation of
followed by further exploration on the data gradient for both the Duvernay and the Eaglebine, geothermal potential of the rock with their temperature, along with the well productivity example, a project plan in scopes and technologies. In conclusion, this Datathon
outlier present in the Duvernay Basin. In the next slide, we explain the correlation plot.
Is seen to be the most impactful. The effect of radioactive
came into the range of 40 to 60 kg of CO2 emissions for each megawatt hour generated. We could
provides a good source of additional clean energy while reducing the costs of drilling new dedicated geothermal wells in the Duvernay have to penetrate an additional 800 meters of rock. There are 53 wells in the dataset that fall in cluster 4, which are viable for electricity generation.
Also had to create a log library and bin the resistivity neutron plus and filter those wells down to just 3 recommendations. Our recommendations that we need to do a further cost analysis on the grid connection for power plants and geothermal.
For the EDA analysis, we dove into this data and we want to convert temperature back. We realize that maybe we can improve this information even further by maybe key to having a very productive geothermal system. So our final
depth below sea level of the well and depth below ground level of the well, and many more. 6 values were removed due to the predicted true temperature of formation being lower than energy production method. However, earthquakes are possible if injected.
It is not as straightforward as just simply using the temperature. Often that we were understated the true temperature. So we adjusted lower outliers to the median value. They're in the prospect areas of East Edson and Fox Creek in Canada. And
those 4 sections. It includes well mapping in 2D and 3D.
We were able to identify features which could be held out of the training dataset. This included primarily
about the geothermal energy and processing and analyzing datasets.
Exploration of the features, what we were looking at is any specific thing that impacts the overall bottom hole temperature. We're looking at potential use cases in central Texas. Primarily it's the proximity because there's a lot less resources that are needed, but there's still the transportation.
Of the more focused zoom in of these 2 basins with some commentary.
We did our train validation set splits, and for the modeling those, and for the binary technology,
the values that were predicted, and they were merged with the labeled
Temperature range of 40 to 70 degrees centigrade seem to be suitable for direct heat uses.
Impacts are very substantial and involve non-carbon intensive electrical energy.
Data distribution of true temperature on the left side on this graph. Also, we implement 3 machine learning algorithms for regression.
Benefits, since we will reduce the CO2 emissions.
Because we can see that overall the missing values is about 80%.
Well, we did 3 main things. First, we changed categorical features to numeric ones, so that they just be model agnostic. Then we handle them to
obtain outlet geofluid temperature with time in the right bottom figure.
Welcome to the closing ceremony of GTX 2021 Geothermal Datathon Experience. I'm David Shackleton, one of the organizing team that helped put this event together. I'm joining from where is now known as Southern Alberta, and I'd like to take a moment to remember we are here on Treaty 7 territory, which is the traditional land of the Stoney Nakoda nations of the Wesley, Chiniki, and Bearspaw, 3 nations of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Piikani, Kainai, Siksika, and the Tsuut'ina of the Dene people. Treaty 7 territory is also shared with the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We acknowledge the past, present, and future generations of these nations who help us steward this land, as well as honor and celebrate this place. Welcome to you, wherever you're joining from. We know we had participants from all over the world, primarily around Calgary and Houston, but also in different parts of Canada and the US. Also Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Germany, Turkey, Norway, the UK, Iceland, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Algeria. Welcome to you all, and please let us know where else you're joining from in the chat, and feel free to say hi. We're not expecting too many questions here, but if you do have any, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box there. For the organizing team here, it's been an amazing 6 months of planning and working with our sponsors to make this event happen. We really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a lot about data science, learned how to use new tools, new techniques, new ways of doing things, and met some great new people who share this same passion for doing things better with data. While you've been challenging yourself over the past 2 months, the organizing team has been hanging on in there, working really hard to make this the best possible experience for you all. But it's probably not been perfect, and there's always ways to improve. So please give us some good feedback in the survey that we're going to tell you about in a minute. The organizing team, many of them you've met throughout this project. Many have not. Many have been working behind the scenes. They've done an amazing job showing up to meetings time after time after time in the evenings and skipping work, no doubt, to get things done. And between meetings, just getting on with things and getting things done without any fuss. I'm really impressed with their work, and on your behalf, I want to thank them sincerely for everything they've done to make this event successful. Ultimately, however, the organization team hope that your journey over the past couple of months has been a positive one, provided you with positive learning experiences, technically, socially, and in other ways, no doubt. But on the whole, we hope it's generally boosted your ability to thrive in this post-COVID, lower carbon world that we're now in, or entering. I'd now like to welcome Simeon Iburi to welcome you on behalf of SPE Gulf Coast section. Simeon is a petroleum engineer with Chevron and a longtime supporter of the SPE. He's currently chairman of the board of the SPE Gulf Coast section. Hi, Simeon.
Hi, can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the SPE Gulf Coast section, I would like to just thank all the participants that made this possible by dedicating your hard work in being able to make the best out of this event. I also want to thank all the people who are behind the scenes, just helping put the event together, the organizing group. I know it's a lot of time and dedication and effort. to put something of this magnitude together that spans a lot of countries and even the continents. So with that said, I just hope that you guys all enjoyed the experience in participating and that you get the best out of the experience by working together collaboratively and really enrich our own knowledge on this particular Geothermal Datathon event. So thank you for the collaboration between SPE Gulf Coast section, the SPE Calgary section with their data science group, and as well as Untapped Energy. So I'd like to thank the great collaboration that everyone put together to make this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simeon. And safe journey to you, and have a good weekend. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Let's just run through the agenda. We're going to kick off with a door prize in a minute. This ceremony it's about you. It's about the work that you've been doing the past 2 months. We're just going to take a moment to reflect on how we did and introduce that survey. We'll then look at the competition winner for the DataCamp Learning competition. We'll hear from TGS, who very graciously lent us their data set. Integra, Chevron too, are going to just say a few words. Then we'll look at the competition. The judging panel will give you some great feedback, which hopefully you appreciate. We'll hear from our keynote speaker and then reveal the winners. And we'll take some time to watch the winning presentation. Okay, with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague at Untapped Energy, Tim Chan.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, David. And hi, everyone. My name is Tim Chan, and I'm one of the co-founders of Untapped Energy, a nonprofit data science and practitioner group and community based out here in Calgary. This event, the GTX 2021 Geothermal Datathon, could not have been possible without the wonderful support of sponsors and partners. And one of our partners is ITIQ, a boutique technology recruitment firm. They have generously supported us all throughout this entire event and have provided door prizes. So to thank you for being with us tonight and today, we'd like to invite you to enter your name for a chance to win some of the door prizes. We have one $50 Amazon gift card to give away, as well as some productivity packages that include laptop bags, paper notebook, mug, and umbrella. In order to participate, just either enter that reduced URL code that you see on the screen, or take out your phone and point your camera at the QR code. That will take you to a form where you can enter your first name and an email address. In the event that you win, we have a way to contact you. So again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a great and fun event, and we look forward to seeing more of you. And so now I'd like to pass the time over to Karan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karang Madarisi. I am part of the organizing team for the event. I'm also a member of Untapped Energy, the nonprofit organization. We are gathering here to see the performance of the teams in the stellar performance that they provided. But before that, if you allow me, I just wanted to discuss about how we did and if we delivered on the expectations that you had from this competition. When you signed up for this event, you provided a feedback as to what you would hope to see by taking part in the competition. So we summarized the information, and as you see in the chart, there are 4 main categories or expectations that is the higher priorities, and it's use new data science tools, learning new data science skills, win prizes, and of course, networking and opportunities. So just for a quick minute, I just wanted to just go over how we actually deliver on those expectations in this competition. The details will be provided by my colleagues going through these slides. When using some new data science tools, you've been provided with a digital hub data science platform, which is based on the open source tools and technology. Also, Datacamp provided you with a number of tools that were presented to you for your learning as another opportunities. use new data science skills. Again, you have been provided with the boot camp sessions, as well as the data camp platform for online learning, which also provided with the learning opportunities. You were hoping to get some prizes and win some prizes. Of course, we are providing three main prizes for top 3 team winners. Free subscription also to the DataCamp online platform, and of course the door prize winning door prizes that usually is provided in some of our sessions as well. You were hoping to expand your professional and social networks in this competition as well. We use the Slack channels to help you communicate amongst the teams and individuals, but also we provided with hangout sessions, which also was an amazing opportunity to network and knowing your colleague, team members and fellow participants better in this competition as well. Also, I just wanted to take a quick moment and show you that there's a stellar performance that was provided with during this event by submissions that we received, was done by collective talent of every individuals in this experience, and also the teamwork. When you look at the data, you could see that the 3 categories of the skill sets that we just looked at it when we gathered the information, being in data science and data in general, business and industry, and specifically in geothermal, when you look at them, the majority is with some or no experience. A very little and a small portion of the participants were fully experienced and expert in these skill set categories, but look at the performances and it's all stellar and high quality. So thank you for that, and we appreciate it. Also, if you have time, please go ahead and fill out the survey form that is provided in the link in the bottom of the page. And also you can use the QR code. It'll help us for sure to do better and improve for next competition. Thank you very much. Pushpesh will take it from here.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Pushpesh Sharma. I've been part of this organizing committee since start, and I just wanted to take some moment to go over some of the key numbers that we organized during this event. So we had in total 243 participants who registered for the event. When we started the data access, 200 participants actually filled the participant agreement form and they received the data. 120 participants accessed the Coda Lab platform to do the quantitative part of the competition. And in Coda Lab, we had 697 different submissions. And as you can see on your left, it's the human nature of procrastinating comes out. Where last 3 days, you can see that everybody started submitting on Coda Lab. So that was a very good data point for us. And on Slack, I think this goes back to Korang's point of networking. On Slack, we received 11,837 different messages. So it shows that how much communication was going on between teams, between organizing committee, and as you can see in the plot down there, that as soon as we released the data, we saw uptick in conversation on Slack. And I think this kind of speaks to the volume of the networking and volume of cooperation going on in this competition. So it was really great experience, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. I think Dominic will take over now.
Thank you, Pushpesh. I am Dominic, and I'm really delighted to be with you all today and to have been involved in this competition. A major focus of this competition was on learning. Because of this, the first half of this program was dedicated to just increasing the technical competencies of what has now become this thriving data science community. Data science is particularly wonderful in that you have people from the arts, the sciences, the humanities all coming together. As a result of this, we organized 13 bootcamp workshops, and this spanned the period from April 21st to about May 24th. If you look at the first visual on the right, you would see the details of attendance for all the bootcamps and workshops. It was key to note that participants could attend live in person, and also the bootcamps and workshops were made available on YouTube as well as on our partner portal. You would notice that the highest attendance was with the geothermal, the data engineering, data camp, and integral workshops. We had almost an even split between live attendees and a lot of people watching the videos on YouTube. And this is followed by the booth camps and workshops in the machine learning and the project management skills, and then rounded up by more machine learning algorithms like the neural networks, the model evaluations, and data management using Gates and Git tools such as GitHub. So it was packed, it was intense, it was fast-paced. We thank everyone for attending the boot camps and workshops and being part of the learning. However, we also realized that sometimes the most important things you learn are not the technical skills or the data science. Sometimes the most important things we learn are the new people that we learn, the new cultures, the new connections. And I think it's a little cut off at the bottom. But with this in mind, we had a series of hangouts. And the hangouts were just more relaxed social environments where people could come together, get to meet someone new, get to meet new team members. Or if you're like me and you're just tired of the pandemic, just come around to chit chat. We use the Kumo space, which is a virtual environment. Basically, it's picture heads on tables and chairs, but it did provide a good relief from like the more Zoom method of doing things. So we had 3 hangouts, one on April 20th, one in May, and the last one on June 10th. Combined, we had about 140 participants. And, it was a very good, it was good attendance, and it was a very good atmosphere. So on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for being part of the learning and the networking sessions and the networking components of this competition. It was a pleasure to have you on, and I will now pass it on to Tim for the next session in this event.
Thanks, Dominic. And what a great reminder to all of us that the networking opportunity doesn't just stop with organized hangouts. You have now created these bonds and friendships that can go beyond the competition itself. And another feature that Dominic had mentioned is learning. And so learning is such a key part of all of our developments. And so we're delighted to see that this isn't just a mere curiosity. Based on the work that you all did, a lot of learning was involved and became a very big feature of this particular event. And so we were delighted to have DataCamp as one of our sponsors, as they really leaned into this idea that an event like this should help someone in their desire to upskill or even to pivot their careers. And so DataCamp had provided access to their entire online platform. And as you'll know, DataCamp is recognized as one of the world's leading platforms for data science learning courses, available online all the time. We had quite a mix of the courses that were taken. So first we had over 100 participants from this event log on and start taking courses. And as you can see by the top 5 courses, some of the courses would lean towards the Python coding language, but the range of skills was quite diverse, from introduction level to intermediate. We had courses like Data Science for Everyone that were quite popular, to how do you manipulate your data using Panda libraries. And so congratulations to all of you for making learning such an important part of this particular event. Now, as we move to the next slide, to try to make this even more enticing, DataCamp helped to facilitate a learning competition. And so they were providing 2 annual subscriptions to their premium accounts for the participants who were able to complete the most number of courses. And so we're quite delighted to be able to announce the winners tonight of that particular competition. And again, a special thank you to DataCamp for sponsoring this. And so it is with great pleasure that I announce that the winners of the DataCamp Learning Competition are Crystal and Jamie. Congratulations. And now I'd like to hand it over to James.
Thanks, Tim, and congratulations again to Crystal and Jamie. It's quite incredible the amount of courses that were taken during the event, and it's certainly great to see. I just wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We've been really lucky to have seen an incredible level of support from our sponsors who have really stepped up to make this event possible. So I'd encourage kind of each of the participants here to, reach out and visit their sites and take a look at, what the offerings are from each of our sponsors. In fact, 3 of them are here who would like to take a few minutes to say a few words. Our first speaker is from TGS, Katja Akintieva, who's the Vice President of New Energy Solutions at our data provider, TGS.
So thank you participants, thank you organizers, and thank you the guys that are on the call right now on a Friday afternoon. I think for most of us it is Friday afternoon. Really appreciate your time, appreciate your creativity and tackling this challenge together. And allowing TGS to have an opportunity to demonstrate what value our data can bring to such an exciting topic of geothermal energy. A couple of things just from a TGS perspective. We're an energy data company, and James asked me, what is it in it for TGS? And we've been on a journey for kind of 2 reasons. One is to take more value of our existing data, and we have the largest geoscience library in the world that we own. So taking more value through different algorithms, through basically driving insights and knowledge. And that's what you guys helped us with in the last few months. So be sure that those lessons will be taken through, and we will be supplementing some of those solutions with what we're already working on. And then secondly, we're really on a journey to expand our offering and cover those new and exciting renewable energy domains, geothermal, wind and solar, in fact, and some of the other areas of decarbonization strategy, such as CCS, where subsurface data knowledge is absolute key. And so on that, a couple of things just to share, a couple of thoughts for you guys. First of all, collaboration. I think what you guys have done, and I have seen a chart just now showing that, in fact, when you come into it, there wasn't much knowledge on the geothermal. So domain expertise wasn't quite there in the participants, but there was a lot of data science expertise. Well, congratulations, guys. You've just captured that knowledge. And this is a reflection of what's happening in the business today, in the industry. It is taking the earth science with data science and combining those sort of type of experts together to come up with a solution that actually works. And I think without the domain expertise, it's going to be really difficult to really tackle the challenge that we have ahead of us on the journey of the energy transition. Second one is what you already been said here, learning, continuous learning. And one of my favorite quotes is that capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, but willingness to learn is a choice. So continue making those choices, continue expanding your knowledge, and you will be best positioned for improving your career choices and ultimately positioning yourself for the next challenge in again, your professional journey. And then last but not least, look for opportunities to join TGS. We're growing not only our offerings and solutions, but also our team. So I encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn and look out. We will be looking for talent. So that's all I have. Again, thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you. Yes, certainly, great words and great words of advice there. TGS has been really an important partner in this event, providing the data, and it's also been really a great learning experience, and working with some members of their team to identify the problem and then also find the data So thank you again. Our next sponsor who would like to talk is from actually one of our platform providers who provided also workshops during the event. So I'd like to introduce Hoda Razai, who's the solutions lead at Integra Data and Analytics Solutions.
First of all, on behalf of Integra and Digital Hub, I'm going to congratulate everyone for making it to the end of the Datathon and competition. It's been a very kind of effortless kind of job for everyone. And that's, I hope everyone can get something from this competition to take away to your organizations and apply it there, and also in your future works. And that's what our industry, our oil and gas needs. It's a level of excitement in terms of the data and the analytics. At Integra, we have always been trying to lower the barriers to AI/ML adoption in oil and gas for professionals and for organizations. And that's why we wanted to be part of this GTX 2021 Datathon. We wanted to share our knowledge of oil and gas projects that we have delivered to our clients here in Calgary and share it with you. So you have a methodology and something to rely on when you're developing your own. And we did that through our notebook templates that you probably have seen on the Digital Hub platform that are reusable. They're industry focused. They're focused on oil and gas, and experts and engineers like yourself have developed them. And another reason was that to accelerate this process of transitioning into data science. When engineers want to transition to data science, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of new concepts that they're trying to learn. And that always is not easy. There's a steep learning curve. So we try to smoothen it with providing end-to-end solutions. And the methodology. And that's through our workshops and providing learning resources, tutorials. We have our own webinars that you have access to the recordings. You can always go and refer to. Also, we wanted to give Datathon participants access to a platform, which we know that technology is one of the biggest barriers for entry. And when you have a system that is integrated, that is configured, that is already set up and ready to use, you can actually get a head start in your transition. And your time will be more spent on the developing the solution and doing the actual data science work as opposed to integrating and installing packages. And for the last comment that I have is that we are available to support you. Our kind of contribution doesn't end here. Reach out to us, give us feedback for people who have actually used the platform. Give us feedback. We want to make it better for you. We want to make it work for you and for people like you that are transitioning to data science from engineering. And we are always open to contribution. If you have something that you want to share with your peers, you have learned something and you want to be part of this community, feel free to reach out. We are on LinkedIn. We are on our website. And yeah, and one of you, those of you who have actually subscribed to a Digital Hub plan, you will still have access to the platform. Just try to kind of use it to the fullest, and good luck.
Thank you, Hoda. Yeah, Integra has certainly gone above and beyond in their support of their event. Not only have you provided your platform, but also put on workshops and even have been very active in Slack answering questions for participants. So, on behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank you and your team. You've been exceptional partners. Our last speaker from representing our sponsors is Nampech Yamali. She is a manager of subsurface and well team at Chevron Technology Ventures.
Yes, hi everyone. This is Nampech. So I would like to have a quick introduction about our organization, Chevron Technology Venture. We are the organization within Chevron that bring externally developed innovation into Chevron. So we would like to support the startup ecosystem, the innovation, the innovator that have the great idea that can help solve the problem in oil and gas business for the future and the core operations. So I think this is a great example of the event that we bring all the people who have the passion and skill set that like to work on tackle the challenge problem. So on behalf of the Chevron, we are honored to be part to support this GTX Datathon event. And this is another great example that we collaborate and bring the skill set in to solve the challenge problem. So at Chevron, we value the importance of digital and data science skill set, which is very necessary skill for the workforce of the future. Geothermal is also the great alternative power and also can take a big part of the energy transition. So the time you spend in learning more about this technology, this challenge, this area, and how to use your data science skill set to develop and solve the problem is very quite important. So I encourage you to continue keep on your network, and build on the network, and don't stop just learning from just only this event, because we still need the skill set from the guy. And I would like to congratulate all the participants in taking part of this fun and interesting Datathon competitions. And I am pleased to see the amount of work of the organizer that have put to make it happen also. And regardless of the result of the competition today. So I would like to congratulate everyone, and everyone deserves a good recognition. And I hope that you learn something new from the last few weeks and expand your network and collaborate to solve the world problem. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nampech, Katja, and Hoda. Once again, we couldn't have hosted this event, without your support. We were really lucky to have you guys on board with us. I think, just to shift, focus back to, the most important piece of this event, which is the participants. I just want to introduce our panel of judges who have, really stepped up and volunteered their time and their expertise to try and evaluate their presentations, which was really difficult given the exceptional quality of all of them. So I want to kind of introduce her and name them off. So first we have Noe Polak, who's also our resident subject matter expert on the organizing committee. We have also Lei Wang. So he's the senior principal engineer, data science and automation at Parker. Alana Hope-Kent is actually a geophysicist at Equinor. Matthew Huber is the manager of drilling optimization at Payson. Sylvia Lee is a data scientist at Integra, who also helped instruct some of Integra's boot camps. We have Harrison Wood, who's an engineer at drilling optimization at Payson. Scott McKean is a petrotechnical data scientist at Chevron. Alte Sanzel is a lead data scientist at TGS. And Andy Wu is a data engineer at Cisco. So, each of our judges bring a diverse and pretty high quality technical and professional background. So I'd like to thank each of them for kind of, again, taking their time to judge the submissions. So speaking on behalf of the panel, I'd like to introduce Noe Polak, who again is our subject matter expert, and will be taking a few moments or taking some minutes to talk about specifics of what, some of the feedback given by our judges.
Okay, so first of all, before we start going, I just wanted to say I didn't see all of the presentations, but the ones that I saw were really impressive. I remember watching the first one and thinking, wow, this is really good. And then I watched the next one, and then I was, oh, this is also very good. This is kind of surprising. So all the presentations that I saw were amazing, and I was really impressed, really, by the effort that was made, the insights that people came to. It was really a pleasure to watch. So if you go and click, I'll be providing some feedback on the data science aspect, geothermal aspect, and also the presentation skills. So let's get started. And I'll be giving examples only from the presentations that I saw for the illustration. But I'm sure all the rest of them were also very good. So starting with data science, So the first thing that was really nice is I saw in the exploratory data analysis some initial correlations to our target variable, and this is a great idea, something to do to get fast insights into the data. So for example, you have the hotspotters team, they did just basic correlation coefficient. We have the Shruggy team, that's something a little fancier with the Shapley values. Oh, it's the Shapley, like the explainable boosting aggressor. I think here, looking at the gamma ray versus temperature data, which was very nice. We can move on to the next slide. Another one is we saw participants explore the correlation between the features. So not only to the target variable, but between the features themselves, kind of to help make sure that we don't have too much repetitive data, because that can sometimes hurt the model performance. Here's an example from the red stream group. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Another one is, and this is very important, and I highly recommend this in every one of your projects, feature importance is critical. We want to see what are the important variables, and we see the Shapley values here by the Shruggy team, showing what are the top most important parameters for their prediction. So that was really nice to see. Next slide. Another one was cleaning the data. So we all know data is never clean. I always like to say cleaning and organizing is 95% of the work. And I thought a nice example of cleaning the data was done by the hotspotters team, where they stratified the wells by depth and then removed anomalous temperature values. So that was really nice. Another kind of intelligent thing to say, junk in, junk out. So really important that we clean the data before we do any analysis on it. Next slide. Another thing was hyperparameter tuning. So we see here a nice workflow that Redstream team presented, and they also discussed verbally that they've done hyperparameter tuning with a grid search and maybe another search method. And they show here the final hyperparameters that they used for the random forest model. So that's great. It would have been also nice to see maybe the sensitivity plots, what hyperparameters, how do they affect the final result. But it's also good to show the best result. So important, hyperparameter tuning. We can move to the next slide. In general, also I saw that several teams made separate models for the different basins. I thought that was nice. I would have also liked to see, again, the mean absolute error for those different models to see how much lift we are getting from doing that operations. For the presentations that I saw, I didn't see enough teams showing the mean absolute error for the different methods. I think that would have been nice to see. I also would have liked to have teams maybe decide on a baseline model of some performance and then show me what the quantified lift was from different changes that they did. So I know a lot of teams talked about some changes, but I would have liked to see numbers. Well, when you did this feature engineering, how did that improve the results? I'm also glad teams chose models with the complexity fit for the number of samples in the problem. Right, so I think there's in general a rule of thumb, let's say 10 samples per weight that you are training. So it wouldn't have been appropriate to do, like a huge neural network for the amount of samples that we have. So I was very happy to see that a lot of the teams chose a model that was appropriate for the number of samples that we have. Next slide. Okay, going into the subject matter, which is geothermal, some comments in that regard. I can move. So all the teams that I saw explained really nicely the different possible geothermal systems for different temperature levels, the binary system, the conventional system, direct heating and cooling, just showing here from Hotspotter is one of those nice graphs. So good job, guys, catching on to that. Next slide. Also, a lot of people brought up really nice geothermal applications. So for example, here, the Roaring Kitties had a really nice combination of solar and geothermal. So the geothermal would do the job of preheating the water that would then be used in a concentrated solar power trough system to go and generate electricity in like a solar thermal situation. So I thought that was a really nice idea. Another idea, click please, is greenhouses that people were discussing. I can see here an image from Team Delta. Also, I thought a lot of people brought up the lithium, and that's also lithium extraction. Geothermal potential is a great idea as well. I can move on. A lot of teams address the importance of the proximity to power lines and population. This is really important. I know sometimes, geothermal, may be good in one location, but it's not actually close to anything, which is problematic. So the roaring kitties, for example, showed here that there was a well that was really hot, and then they even provided a nice image which really illustrated that, showing how remote it was, and maybe that's not a good idea to develop it further. Heat wave also even calculated the distance to power stations and the distance to population center. So that was great, excellent job on the mapping for the heat wave team of those maps. Can we move on to the next slide? Also, one of the challenges was to get an assessment of the resource potential. So I know a lot of times, a lot of teams gave like one number. I just like to point out the roaring kitties did a very nice job in getting a probabilistic assessment, which I kind of liked. So the different properties are input into the thermal potential, and they made a probability distributions for the different variables, and then use that to calculate the cumulative density function for the thermal potential, as well as then moving it into P10, P50, P90. So I thought that was a very nice job done. Okay, go to the next slide. Also, the business side, I saw a lot of teams did a really nice job going and calculating, well, how much, what is the value, monetary value from such a venture. So we had here Team ALM did a nice job. They got, I think, a number specific for Alberta for the cost of electricity, the energy capacity versus temperature, and versus the barrels of water per day. I'd just like to point out, you can click twice. So if you look here, yes, and one more, okay. Just to point out, please, when you try to make a presentation, think about the meaning of certain values. So for example, here, the team said that this would, converting a single geothermal well would generate $2.7 million over 30 years. Now, but if you think about that number, it is kind of low, right? It probably wouldn't be a good investment, given also that you would have to probably invest at least $500,000 in preparing a system. So a return of 2.7 over 30 years is definitely low. And also in terms of kilowatt electric, I think the maximum here shown is 131. But in reality, if you have a geothermal well that is anything less than 1 megawatt, you're definitely in deep trouble. So I know this is not anyone's subject matter expertise, but it would be nice also to go and review the numbers and try to think, oh, is this number the result that I got? Does it make sense? And just to give some background on that, we can move one slide. Part of the issue is regarding the amount of barrels per day. So what we see is that in the oil well, there's a certain number of barrels per day. So for example, here around 5,000 barrels per day would be considered a high flow well, but actually in geothermal, you have to flow at least 50,000 barrels per day to go and be profitable. And the reason for this is in the lower section there is that you can see that for oil, you can make maybe 40, depends on the economic situation, but let's say $40 a barrel. And then for hot water, on the other hand, it's only $0.25 per barrel. So you really got to be flowing that fluid to make a nice profit. And that brings us to the situation, well, there's only so much fluid, only so much hot water in the earth. So what had to be done was to think a little bit more about the technicalities of converting a oil well to a geothermal well. So you can go to the next slide. And I saw the Hotspotters team did a nice job of kind of bringing that up. So in order to take that much water out, you'd actually have to continuously have this loop where hot water, medium temperature water goes in, heats up, and then you have to continuously re-inject water, kind of like an air conditioning system. So either open or closed, several possibilities. But yeah, so, and then in this way you can get to really high flow rates and produce more energy. And then that number in the previous graph would have to have been a higher barrel per day. You wouldn't keep the same barrel per day that you had running on an oil system. So that's just one fast comment on the technical subject matter. So you can go move one slide. Last thing I'm going to talk about is, sorry, I need to get a new set of earphones, is on presentation skills. Let's move. So Team ALM did a great job in setting a strong motivation in the beginning. There are a lot of abandoned oil and gas wells, and this is a big problem. And I think they did an excellent job talking about the opportunity that there is in converting abandoned oil and gas wells to geothermal. So great job there. If you can move to the next slide. Another great thing that they did on this same slide is to do 1 point at a time. And so, for example, the previous slide had multiple points, but they kind of scheduled it one point, then one click, 1 point, and that way we're not overwhelmed by too many things. I saw a lot of the presentations that I saw, there was too much content on the slide that came upon you at once. So it's good to do even a more general rule would be 1 point completely, just only 1 point per slide, 1 point, 1 image kind of thing. So that's I think a very important lesson to have for people to get their message clear to listen. Okay, next. Also, great data design. So that is combining data and visualizations. I know this is kind of very basic, but I really liked this figure by Team ALM. So we see here's a scatter plot of depth versus temperature. But having that illustration of the well there really brings it home for us that this is a depth, right? We have the surface, and this is kind of a combination of a data and visualization. We also have that arrow there that summarizes what is the main point that we are trying to make with this figure. So I thought it was very clear, and I liked it. We can click again. Another illustration from Team ALM was, again, I guess the same kind of thought was the illustration of wells, but it's a combination with a box plot. So a nice thing to do is, let's say you're ever plotting something, you can get a little creative, try to add whatever illustration you can to bring home a certain message. So this is both a box plot, and it really does look like the depth of a well at the same time. So it's a very nice job. Next slide. Another thing is to illustrate quantitatively why certain wells are ideal. Again, Team ALM did a really nice job here. So he said they had 4 criteria: temperature, pressure, peak water rate, depth. And it was really easy to see, oh, okay, the best wells are all these ones in red, and it seems like the box plots show that these are high in all the values that we are interested in. And colors were good, everything was very nice about this plot to really send home a message. Also, together with the map, showed us very well what we were looking for and why these wells were good. So we can move to the next slide. So this is the last one. Okay, some final wrapping all here is titles. Please try to summarize the main point of the slide. People could really improve on this instead of like writing the data. Try to say, what am I trying to say with this data? The data shows that something. The wells, hot wells are good. Font size, guys, I've seen this a lot. Always make sure it's above 18, even 22. Add citations, read the instructions. Never underestimate reading the instructions. So a lot of teams, I think, kind of fell, even though they had very good presentations, because they didn't quite follow the criteria. So I was like, you could have addressed this point. So please read the instructions next time. And the most important one is to tell a story. Again, kind of relates to the first one. Tell a story with your data. So if you're showing a slide, if you're giving a presentation, have an overall message in your mind and try to always push it. And the slides are just there to push your story. So that's it. That's all I had. Overall, again, everyone did a great job. It was a pleasure to look at all the presentations.
Thanks, Noe. Yeah, that was a great rundown. I think everyone here can appreciate just the high quality and high caliber of the submissions, even based on, a small subset of all of the slides that were generated. I think the committee and the judges panel were just overwhelmed and blown away by the quality and the level. So, kudos to, every participant here. Keep on working on all those skills. Just to have our last speaker, wanted to introduce Mike Krajasic, apologies, who is the VP of Digital Technology and Analytics at Suncor. Thank you for being here, Mike.
Great, thanks, James. So yeah, as James mentioned, I'm Mike Krajasic with Suncor, and I guess I'll wrap it up. So yeah, super interesting last hour, and really the last couple of months that people have been spent working on this. Really impressive in terms of how much folks have learned here in a relatively short period of time. And maybe I'll just say a couple of things, as before we get to the top three and the winners, and a little bit about Suncor. Suncor, I mean, the Canadian folks in the audience will know this very well. Maybe for our American friends, less so. But Suncor is, Canada's largest integrated energy company. About 800,000 barrels a day in upstream production, 460,000 barrels a day in refining capacity, 3 Canadian refineries, 1 in the US and the Denver area, integrated right through to the retail customer, over 1,400 retail outlets. So very integrated energy value chain from extraction right through to the customer. And we've been starting to describe the next chapter of the company, and we've been describing the next chapter of the company as Suncor 4.0. And so Suncor 4.0 is about where we're going, and it's about being purpose-driven, people-focused, data-informed, and technology-enabled. And I'd say we've been very intentional about that order. It starts with purpose and why we're here as a company. And then the next piece is about building your strategy around people and the people involved. And then the next 2 pieces around data and technology are really recognizing the importance of those 2 disciplines and functions in terms of where we're going. And so, I think kind of this Datathon has been a great example of being both data informed and technology enabled. And then a little bit about our values, and we've had we have very values people would be very familiar with in terms of safety above all else, and acting with integrity and trust. But one of our values is curiosity and lifelong learning, and the learning aspect is super important. And we've been talking about shifting from a know-it-all, very engineering type culture to a learn-it-all culture, and that's super important. And the shift to a learning mindset, and where you may be able to outwork your competition. I think the way we're going to win going forward is the ability to outlearn your competition, and so that idea of lifelong learning and a learning mindset is super important. And I think you folks demonstrated that here in terms of one of the earlier plots that Karang showed in terms of people's incoming baseline knowledge and things they were hoping to learn from some data science backgrounds and some data engineering data skills. I was interested in the one person that loved webinars, but that's probably a bit of a different story. And so the ability to learn as you develop your careers is super important. And data in the engineering and technical fields is important as well. And I would say 5 years ago at Suncor, we didn't even have the term data science, right? We didn't even have a term. We might have had some people who had deep backgrounds in statistics and those types of disciplines, but we didn't even have the term data science. And in the last couple of years, we've stood up our advanced analytics organization, which one of the groups I lead, and we literally started with 2 data scientists. Today we're over 60, right? So between data scientists, data engineers, data visualization, and we're continuing to actively grow that group. Similar on the data side, right? Like we had, kind of people who manage master data, but really not organized around data governance, data management, data quality, all those aspects of data that's super important. And we're growing that group actively as well. And the reason we're doing that is, and we've stated as Suncor 4.0 to be data informed and technology enabled, is we think that's one of the ways we're going to drive disproportionate value across our existing asset base. And so if you think of our existing asset base, we've got in the order of $10 billion of assets on the ground. And so to fully monetize those assets and really sweat those assets, we think data analytics, data science, the ability to use new techniques, advanced modeling techniques to optimize our base business is super important. And then that's going to pave the way as we step into newer, lower carbon intensity areas in terms of energy transition, be that renewable fuels, low carbon power, renewable power, hydrogen, and a number of those areas. And so that's all going to be funded through our base business. So optimizing and sustaining our base business and then paving the way for newer, lower carbon energies is part of our strategy going forward. And it's going to be super important for us. And we're going to do that with, many of those existing folks we have in terms of engineering talent, but we're going to upskill those folks as well. Similar to what many of you have been doing here over the last couple of months in terms of, engineers learning new data science skills, building on their technical capability to solve old problems in new ways and unlock new problems. And so, I think that's going to be super important. And yeah, I thought what I saw from the submissions and the nominations were super interesting. And I thought the problem was really interesting as well in terms of, using your, petroleum engineer, geoscience backgrounds to solve a new energy problem in terms of, how would we step into geothermal energy and leverage some of the huge heat sinks we already have that have been previously drilled and monetize those assets in a new and different way. So I thought the problem was super interesting as well, and your solutions were innovative and novel and interesting. So well done to the over 200 participants you had as part of the Datathon, and maybe with that we can move to the award winners.
Wonderful. No, thank you for that, Mike, and for just inspiring us. That there is this curiosity to learn all life long. And so Mike is from Suncor, which is one of our sponsors, and so we are absolutely grateful for that support to make this event happen. And so speaking of curiosity, I'm sure that many of you are curious about the outcome of this particular competition. So I guess without further ado, let's get right into it.
The third place winner is the Roaring Kitties.
Congratulations to the Roaring Kitties. Job well done. Okay, let's find out who our second place winner is.
The second place winner is Shruggy.
Congratulations to Team Shruggy. Job well done. And now the moment that we've all been waiting for. Let's find out who our first place winner is.
The first place winner is Team ALM.
Amazing. Congratulations, Team ALM. And now, let's take a look at their submission for this competition. Take a look at this.
Hi, we are Team ALM, and today we're going to show you geothermal power opportunities in Texas and Alberta. The cost of shutdown and reclamation of abandoned oil wells can be a heavy financial burden for oil and gas companies. Just in Alberta, there are 71,000 abandoned wells, of which 2,100 are orphaned. Repurposing oil wells for geothermal production could be a perfect match. It provides a good source of additional clean energy while reducing the costs of drilling new dedicated geothermal wells. In addition, government incentives could make this conversion more economically attractive. In this datathon, we were provided well information for the Eagle Mine Basin in the US and the Duvernay Basin in Canada. We were challenged to create models to predict the formation temperatures and to assess the overall potential for geothermal well conversion in these basins. This diagram summarizes the workflow used to transform the data into insights. Most of the processing was done using open source tools like Python, Pandas, scikit-learn, and StatsModel in the Google Colab environment. Typical Spotfire was used for rapid visualization during the qualitative analysis. We had over 800 wells. The log data, production, and well headers for each basin were combined into a single data set, which gave us more than 100 features per well. We reconciled different depth conventions and extracted full synthetic temperature profiles for each well. We then scaled and encoded some variables and imputed missing data. During the exploratory data analysis, we found that 5 features were critical for a good temperature prediction. We chose a random forest regression model and continued on to the qualitative basin analysis. The Eaglebine and Duvernay basins have similar temperature gradients, around 28 degrees Celsius per kilometer. However, Eaglebine wells are hotter, showing a temperature shift of around 20 degrees. We will show you why. First, we observed that the Eaglebine wells are almost at sea level, while Duvernay wells are further away, 900 meters above the sea level. This means wells in the Duvernay have to penetrate an additional 800 meters of rock just to get to the same elevation as the Eaglebine. Secondly, we observed that Eaglebine wells tend to be 40% longer than Duvernays. Combining these two observations, we hypothesized Eaglebine wells might be hotter because they reach deeper into the earth. They are 40% longer and they benefit from having 800 meters lower ground elevation. When temperatures are normalized to the sub-sea levels of the wells, the gradients now align on the same trend. Our machine learning model was used to impute those wells with missing temperatures to calculate thermal gradients. We noticed that there is a cluster of high gradient wells in the western flank of the basin, which coincides with the deeper part. It is similar in the Eaglebine, with the gradients being higher in the deeper eastern flank of the basin. For ranking geothermal opportunities, we use temperature, pressure, depth, and flow capacity to group the wells into geothermal categories. The grouping was done using the K-means clustering algorithm with the 4 parameters defined before. Wells with high temperature, pressure, peak water rate, and depth are located in the western flank of the Duvernay Basin. There are 53 wells in the dataset that fall in cluster 4, which are viable for electricity generation, given their high temperatures above 95 degrees Celsius. Over 300 wells fall in the clusters 2 and 3, which are suitable for direct heating use. A total of 75 wells were considered to have low potential for geothermal conversion. A quick estimation using electricity prices and energy capacity correlations from other studies shows that our best wells in cluster 4 could generate from $200,000 up to $2.7 million of gross revenue over 30 years of production. The area where cluster 4 is most represented is already home to 3 geothermal pilot projects: Alberta No. 1, Stage Gate 1, and Everlight near Rocky Mountain House. For the Eaglebine, a similar criteria using the K-mean clustering algorithm was used, only that in this case, we didn't have pressure information, but casing diameter. The cluster 4 is most represented in the southeast of the basin. They tend to have larger casings, which is favorable for geothermal production. In terms of uses, over 250 wells in clusters 2, 3, and 4 are suitable for electricity generation, while cluster 1 is only suitable for direct heating use. Using the same estimation method as before, an Eaglebine well could generate from $300,000 up to $10 million in gross revenues over a 30-year period. Eaglebine wells have higher temperatures than Duvernays, which shows up in better economics. In conclusion, there are different geothermal opportunities in our areas of interest. In Alberta, where 60% of the energy is spent on heating, over 300 candidate wells were identified, which would be suitable for commercial heating. However, electricity production potential is limited. In Texas, There is potential for electricity production with over 250 suitable candidates identified in the dataset. Ultimately, the future of geothermal will rely on viable economics. This exercise showed how dependent well revenue is with respect to well rates, low costs, and efficient heat transfer. So technology addressing these issues will be critical. Also, economic incentives will play a key role. Thanks for your attention.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations again to Team ALM. And now I'd like to pass the floor over to Sarath, who has an announcement about an upcoming data event. Sarath?
All right, thanks, Tim. And once again, congratulations to team for bagging the first prize, and congratulations to all the participants for having gone through a successful program for last few weeks. Now, I want to bring your attention to a Gulf Coast section event, Data Science Convention. This is one of our first in-person hybrid events that we are organizing. And if you're not from Gulf Coast section, you can join this virtually, and the QR codes are right there if you want to scan. And it's an event we've put together to get all the like-minded individuals that are interested and passionate about data science and building their expertise, not only just building their expertise, but networking with fellow data scientists. And this event is a whole day event, and you'll have breakfast, lunch, and not dinner, probably drinks served by the end of the day. And if you're looking for some place to meet fellow-minded individuals, and if you are in Gulf Coast section, we'll be doing it in a socially distanced fashion, and we are doing it at half the capacity of normally what could have been. And it's a very nice place. It's a Norris Conference Center, close to City Center in Houston. If you haven't been there, it's a fantastic conference center, and I think you'll definitely enjoy the keynotes and also our panel discussion. So I'm looking forward to seeing at least some of you joining this in person and some of you joining virtually. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to any one of us, either through Slack, either me or Pushpace through Slack, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions that you may have. Thanks, Tim, and that's all we have about this.
Wonderful. No, thank you for that, Sarath. And I guess as we close this particular event, we do so from a spirit of gratitude. So there's going to be many thanks. Thanks to all the volunteers who worked tirelessly to put this event together. Thanks to all of our sponsors and partners. And most importantly, thank you. This event is not possible without your dedication and all of your hard work. And as mentioned before, you're all winners, and we wanted to celebrate that. We do want to find out how your experience went, so please do take a quick moment and fill out the survey so that we have the data points to help us to improve. And so with that, I want to thank you once again for joining GTX 2021, the Geothermal Datathon.